go ahead and start introducing the call. All right, Rich, you can go ahead and do that. All right, Rich, people are starting to join the call now.
All right. Well, good evening and welcome to tonight's Initiative 1351 Telephone Town Hall with Washington Education Association President Kim Mead and WEA Executive Director Armand Tiberio. My name is Rich Wood. I work at WEA and I'll be hosting the call tonight. And tonight we're going to discuss the latest in the campaign to reduce overcrowded class sizes here in Washington. As you know, Initiative 1351 will be on the November 4th ballot, and ballots begin arriving in less than a month, right around October 17th. Tonight's call is your opportunity as WEA members to learn more about the campaign to pass 1351 and to ask questions of both Armand and Kim. This call is just for WEA members, and it's the first time we've done a telephone town hall, so we're pretty excited and we're glad that you're joining us tonight. To ask a question at any time about 1351, please press 0 on your telephone keypad and you'll be connected directly with one of our volunteer operators. Again, press 0 to ask Kim or Armand a question, and we'll get to as many questions as we can tonight, but we'd like to keep it to just around 30 minutes total, so we should be done by 7:30. And now I'd like to go ahead and introduce the president of the Washington Education Association, Kim Mead. Kim?
Thanks, Rich. And I want to thank everybody out there for joining us. We already have well over 1,000 people online, and the phone calls are still going out. And I'm glad you're joining us today as our kickoff to 1351, which is going to lower our class sizes for the students in Washington State. I want to say, first of all, not just thank you for joining us, but this is going to be a historic event that we're going to have happen in November when we pass this initiative. And quite frankly, it's going to be not only affecting our students' lives, it's going to be changing the students' lives in Washington State. If you don't know by now, and I'm sure you may have heard it more than once, Washington ranks 47th out of 50 in the nation, and that's not fair for our kids. Our kids need to be in class sizes that meet their needs, and especially, if you're in a smaller class size, you have a better chance of being able to understand the concepts that are going on, like if you're in a math or in a science class. And then the part that gets me in the particular is when I have kids that are neediest, the ones that need special help, those are the ones that will also be having a much better situation with a lower class size. So it's going to be helping every single public school student in this state. I want to thank you for your leadership in advance, and I'm looking forward to Initiative 1351 benefiting every student across the state.
All right, thank you, Kim. Again, if you've just joined us, this is the Washington Education Association Telephone Town Hall on Initiative 1351. And now we're going to hear briefly from WEA Executive Director Armand Tiberio. Armand?
Thank you, Rich. Again, this is Armand Tiberio. I'm the Executive Director of WEA. And I'd just like to make a couple comments before we start taking some of your phone calls here tonight. As you know, WEA and our 82,000 members worked very hard collecting over 350,000 signatures to get I-1351 on the ballot. And with that hard work, we now have the opportunity, as Kim indicated, to make a historic decision here in November at the ballot. And the election is November 4th. The ballots will drop in the mail beginning on October 17th. So we have less than a month before individuals in the state of Washington will be casting their vote for, hopefully, 1351. We know that the voters in the state support smaller class sizes. The state has done a tremendous amount of research, as research has been done around the country, that class sizes do, in fact, matter. It's common sense. It's a no-brainer. And kids will get the kind of personal attention that they need to succeed in school. And as teachers and other educational employees, you know that in fact is our objective, is to make and to work with the kids so that they succeed in school. But we can't take the voter support in the state of Washington for granted. We've worked hard to get this on the ballot, and we need to make sure that our supporters vote, that in fact they do vote, and that we reach out to the voters who lean our way also. That's really why we are having this call here tonight with you. We need your help, and that's where your help comes in. We will begin an external campaign, a TV ad beginning in the month of October, but that's by and of itself is not going to be enough. As an educator, you have both individually and collectively a tremendous amount of credibility with the voter in the state of Washington, and that really holds true, especially like issues like class size. You're really 1351's secret weapon, if you will, and we need you to act and to participate as an ambassador for smaller class sizes throughout the state of Washington. There will be formal requests for help. We've already had this past weekend a major organizing meeting with all the UNICEF councils in the state of Washington, and they're busy at work putting together phone banks to call to voters to support I-1351 for class sizes. And we're encouraging you here tonight, if you haven't heard about that, to connect with your building rep or your president, somebody within your local, to find out about the phone banks and to volunteer to participate in those phone banks themselves. And really equally important is the one-to-one relationships that you all have with your family, with your friends, and with your neighbors about this campaign, is to talk to them about the importance of 1351, to remind them to vote for 1351. That's really where our path to victory is going to take place. And remember, too, that it's a student-centered campaign that we're talking about here. It's really what's right for kids in the state of Washington, and that's lower class sizes. And we'll be talking more about that tonight regarding the initiative, but now I think we're going to start taking some of your questions.
Right. Well, first, we'd like to thank you, Armin. Again, thank you for joining us on WA's 1351 initiative phone call tonight. First, we're going to ask a question of all of you who are listening in tonight. It's going to take a lot of work to pass Initiative 1351 and to reduce class sizes for our kids, and it's going to take your involvement. So I'm going to ask you 4 questions here, and please help us out and let us know what you're willing to do. How are you willing to help pass 1351? Press 1 if you'll endorse Initiative 1351 online at ourvoicewashingtonea.org. So that's press 1 if you'll go to the website and endorse 1351 online. Press 2 if you'll encourage your friends and family to endorse 1351 online at ourvoicewashingtonea.org. Press 3 if you'll encourage your friends and family to vote yes on Initiative 1351. And then finally, press 4 if you'll do all the above. If you'll endorse 1351 online at ourvoicewashingtonea.org, press 1. Press 2 if you'll encourage your friends and family to do so. Press 3 if you'll encourage your friends and family to vote yes on 1351. And press 4 if you'll do all the above. And thank you. I see that a lot of folks are voting right now. A majority of folks, over 50%, are going to go to the ourvoicewashingtonea.org website and endorse 1351 there. A good number of you, almost 40%, are going to do all of those things. Not only go to the website, but encourage others to go to the website, and then in addition, encourage your friends and family to vote yes on 1351. And that's really crucial. So thank you for voting on that. Now we're going to go ahead and take a call from, let's see here, how about Julie in Arlington. Armand, Julie, are you on the line?
Yes, I am. I'm from Arlington.
Okay, hi, Julie. Can you go ahead and ask your question of Armand? I think it has something to do with what if the legislature decides to suspend 1351?
Right. Well, the citizens of the state voted once before on class size, if I'm not mistaken, and they voted to give us a cost of living increase in our salary. And then the legislature just chooses to ignore the voice of the citizenry, and I'm just curious what our plan is if that happens again.
Sure, that's always a possibility. But I think with the McCleary decision and with the emphasis that the Supreme Court in the state of Washington has put behind proper funding, the class size initiative, and other pieces of legislation, it's going to be really difficult for the legislature just to turn heads on something, again, that the voters will pass in terms of 1351. So I think this go-around, we have the added pressure, if you will, from the court. I think the added pressure from the general population, really pressing the importance of the issue. Keep in mind, we're 47th in class size in the country, and through the efforts of 1351 and getting this passed, that's basically going to put us pretty much right around average in the country. So I think all in all, we're in a much better position with this passing as we were previously with the other two initiatives passing.
Okay, thank you, Armin. Next, we have Bill from Everett. You have a question. You were one of the folks who gathered signatures, and what was the question that you got asked, Bill?
The question I want to ask is, when we were out getting signatures, the most frequent question was, how is the legislature going to pay for this initiative once it passes?
Okay, great. Thanks, Bill. And I think that's a question that a lot of us heard while we were collecting signatures. WA President Kim Mead, would you like to address that?
You bet. Hi, Bill. It's nice to have you on the line tonight. I have to tell you, that's one of the first things that we heard, or that we also heard from some of our opponents, is that, quite frankly, we can't afford this particular initiative. The reality is we can't afford not to be funding this. And when you take a look at the Office of Financial Management, that was the group that took a look at how exactly much this is going to cost. It's well under $1 billion a year. And when you look at our forecast, we're supposed to be taking in about 2.5 over the next 2 years. So we'll be generating more than enough money to take care of it. But the nice thing about this initiative is it weans it in over a 4-year period of time. And that means that it becomes very affordable right out of the chute, so that we can start that right away in January.
All right. Thank you, Kim. Earlier, Armin said we would share good talking points about the measure with you, about how 1351 will benefit kids in our state. And one thing you can do to get the talking points, get the messages, get all the information you need is at ourvoicewashingtonea.org. And it really boils down to the things that you've already heard Kim say. We're 47th out of 50 in the nation for class size, and frankly, our kids deserve better. That's the number one reason why voters are going to support 1351. We also know that lower class sizes help struggling students receive the individual attention they need to get back on track. And we know that in subjects like math and science, small class sizes make it easier for kids to engage in coursework that'll help them be successful in the high-tech economy. So those are some of the key points that you'll want to share as educators when you're talking with your friends, family, neighbors about Initiative 1351, and it'll be really crucial for you to share those personal stories about how small class sizes can help you as an educator really connect with students and provide the personal attention that they need and tell those personal stories. Now, secondly, we're going to have another poll question. We want to hear from you. We want to know, from your perspective, as an educator, what is the most important benefit to passing 1351? So for you, from your personal experience, what is it that you think will make the biggest difference for our kids? So press 1 if you think it's lowering class size ranking from 47th so that we're on par with the rest of the country. Press 2 if you think the biggest benefit to passing 1351 is ensuring all students get the personal attention that they need to succeed. Press 3 if it's helping struggling students get back on track. And press 4 if it's helping students in math and science. And press 5 if you think it's all of the above. All right, I see they're coming in. Wow, this may not be surprising to you, but the vast majority of folks, maybe 3/4, 75% of you who are on the line, say that as number 5, it's all of the above, that it's about lowering class size so we're no longer 47th in the nation. It's ensuring students get the personal attention that they need to succeed, helping struggling students get back on track, helping students in math and science. Thank you. That's great to get that feedback from you. That's very, very helpful. And that's in line with exactly what we know about why 1351 will make a difference for our kids. So thank you. Now we're going to take another question from the participants, and I think we'd like to go ahead and hear from Peggy in Yakima, who has a question about the capacity, about where are we going to put these additional teachers. Peggy, are you on the line?
Yes, I am on the line.
Would you like
I'm
to?
wondering, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Kim.
Our buildings are full, and so I'm wondering where we're going to put the additional classrooms. Has that been taken into consideration?
Absolutely, and thank you again for calling in. One of the things that we've brought up is we know in some of our cases, not in just some, we have in many cases where buildings are at capacity now. That doesn't mean that we don't provide flexibility with this initiative, which is really the great thing about it. That means that you may have 2 teachers in one classroom. You may have a teacher and a couple of para, our ESP that work directly with our students one-to-one in a classroom. All of those things can still help our kids, which would be great to have that one-on-one attention. But it also lets us have that conversation too, which is if we free up those districts and make sure that they're letting the concentration on the kids happen, then possibly then some of that funding can start to happen to make sure that we have the building facilities we need.
All right. Thank you, Kim, and thank you, Peggy, for your question. There were several folks on the line who have asked similar questions about that capacity issue. And please, if you have a question for either Kim Mead, the WA president, or Armin Tiberio, the executive director, please press 0 and you'll be patched through to one of our volunteer operators. So please take this opportunity to ask a question of either Kim or Armin. I know that they'd love to hear from you. Right now, we're going to hear from Teresa. Teresa, you're in Tacoma. Do you have a question for Armin and Kim?
Yes. The Tacoma News Tribune a couple days ago had an editorial that spoke against the initiative, and of course they based it on cost, which you guys already talked about, but they also said that statistics showed that it does not help the older kids to lower class size. So I guess what do you have to say to this, and how are we going to negate this in Tacoma from what they said?
Right. Thanks, Teresa. That's a great question. And Kim, I think you'd like to answer that. And as a middle school teacher, I know you have direct experience with this issue.
That's always one that makes me laugh in particular. I'm going to give you a couple of speaking points on your own, but I'm going to tell you that teaching middle school and an industrial tech, which is a shop class where we had woods, et cetera, it makes quite a bit of a difference when you have a lower class size, and I think all of us know that. But for instance, our math and science classes, when you have kids that are waiting in line to understand a concept and they can't move on with what's going on in the classroom without having that question answered, so they stand there or sit there with their hands in the air, it makes a huge difference. So anytime someone says, well, statistically it doesn't show a difference, they don't think about the relational piece that goes on where a child just shuts down in a classroom. The best way to answer that when you're talking with friends and family who aren't educators is to tell your personal experiences. Talk about what it's like when you have 15 hands up in a classroom and you can't get to everyone, and you wonder who you didn't get to by the end of the day. Those are very good experiences to share with them, and why it's so important to have lower class sizes, pre-K all the way through graduation.
All right. Well, thank you, Teresa. Thank you, Kim. We're getting some good questions. Remember, just press 0 if you have a question for Kim or Armin. We have another question here from, let's see, Jennifer. Jennifer in Bellingham, you have a question about our class size ranking 47th in the nation out of 50 states. Is that right, Jennifer?
Yeah. Hi there. Yeah. My question is 2-part. One is that we hear that we are 47th out of 50 for class size. And my question there is, how does that relate to K through 12 when we say class? I'm wondering if we're talking about all grades or if we're talking about primary, intermediate, middle school, and high school?
Okay, that's a great question. I think Kim's prepared to answer that.
You bet. Thanks, Jennifer, for calling in. And that statistic is the average, so it's across all grades.
Great.
Okay, thank you. Can I ask my second part now?
Sure, go ahead, Jennifer.
Okay, so my second question is, I teach in a Title I school, and so therefore we get federal funding to reduce our class sizes in K through 1. And my question is, what happens for these other schools in K1, 2 in primary who are not Title I and have classes that are 27 and 28? Are we saying that if this initiative passes, that indeed these classes would have a lower class number?
Okay, that's a great question, Jennifer. I think, again, Kim Mead, the WA president, can answer that. So thank you very much.
Yes, absolutely. When you're taking a look at a non-title school, that means that the average class size would be 17. So yes, probably a lot smaller than what you're seeing there. And then we actually have, if you take a look at the language on it, it's even smaller for a Title I class, because we do know that you need extra help in those classes as well.
All right. Thank you, Kim. Thank you very much. And I think we'll take a question from Monica. Monica from Puyallup has a question about making sure that the districts use the money the right way. Is that right, Monica?
That's right. I'm in a Title I school in the district, and like the woman just before said, that Title I schools got funding to reduce class sizes a couple of years ago, and my district has chosen not to use that money to reduce class sizes and are putting it somewhere else. And so how can we be assured that our district will use the money the right way?
Okay, great. Thank you, Monica. Armin?
Sure. Well, the initiative is pretty clear in terms of what the requirements are, and if it passes, like any other regulation that the districts are obligated to follow, and any other law that they're obligated to follow, they're going to be required to follow the particulars that are outlined in the initiative. And I think, at the same time, we're pretty strong advocates, and so we will, I'm sure, either through negotiations and or through just the ongoing relationships that our locals have with the districts there, that we have an opportunity to monitor whether in fact they are complying. If they're not complying, then we can take action against them also to make sure that they do. But basically, I think generally they all know that if this initiative passes, that they're going to be obligated to follow the regulations and to implement them accordingly.
Great. Thank you, Armin. And again, if you have questions for either Armin Tiberio or Kim Mead, just press 0 on your phone and you'll get patched through to one of our volunteer operators tonight. Next, we have Britt, another Everett teacher, who has a question for Kim about, or another Everett educator, I should say, who has a question for Kim about ESP, Education Support Professionals. Right, Britt, are you there?
That's correct. Thank you.
Sure. Can you ask Kim your question?
Yes. Will there be in the future, or soon rather than later, an opportunity to gain more support through funding for the hiring of additional para-educators? That makes a significant impact on our classroom environment, and most especially those students who struggle to achieve. I'm also interested in the future possibility of a higher pay schedule for para-educators. I know a few who are single head of household, and the monthly salary is virtually inadequate to be the sole breadwinner in a family. So those are two questions. I realize they're represented by another union, but we work in alliance with these people and see them rising on the same tide, potentially.
Sure. Well, thank you, Britt. Thank you for that. And Kim can answer both of those questions. Kim, first of all, how does 1351 affect paraeducators and other education support professionals?
Hi, Brett. It's nice to hear your voice. As you were saying, in Everett, the ESPs are not part of that union group, but yes, indeed, the initiative actually does affect them as well. It's taking a look at increasing the adults across the board. So that's not just our certificated staff, it's also our paraeducators, and then within it's also increasing our teacher librarians, our school psychs, our nurses, our custodians. Everybody will be increasing with this initiative. So that was one part of it. I don't remember the second portion.
And the second part of Britt's question, Kim, was about compensation, and she was asking specifically about improving compensation for education support professionals, but I know that that's a question that a lot of folks have had. We're focused on class size right now, but what about compensation, not just for support staff, but for all school employees?
Well, I'm going to speak actually starting off with the support staff. One of the things that we know has happened is that the ways that districts have tightened their budgets has been on the backs of some of our ESP, which means that they have their hours cut. And this, very much like you eloquently said, Brett, these are the people that aren't making very much to begin with. This initiative allows a lot more people to be able to have full-time jobs, a lot more people in the classrooms themselves. So that will help with that particular situation.
And what about WA's efforts to improve compensation for all school employees? Maybe Armin, can you address that?
Well, compensation is always a priority of the organization, and as we go into this upcoming legislative session, I am positive that we will be pursuing the restoration of COLA and any other advancements that we can make. And in addition, special consideration, we've got to work very hard in terms of increasing and improving the medical benefits for our members. So compensation is a important issue, and we will be working very hard over the next coming months to improve the compensation for all of our members and all educational employees.
All right, thank you, Armand. A couple of folks had questions about how will we attract or how will we find enough teachers and support staff to fill these positions. And I think, Denise, are you on the line?
I am.
Kennewick?
I'm here.
Hi, Denise. What's your question specifically?
Okay, I'm in Kennewick, and I'm the ELL specialist at my school, and last week I got pulled 2 days to sub because we don't even have enough subs to cover what we currently have. So my question is, when this passes, how are we going to find enough people? Are they out there to hire people to bring our class sizes down to where they need to be to best educate our students?
Great. I think Armin can answer that. I think it might relate to his previous answer. Thanks, Denise.
Sure. I think there's a couple really important pieces to this question. One is to make sure that the compensation in the state of Washington for teachers is of a level that, in fact, we will be able to recruit teachers even from other states and to retain them in the state of Washington so that when they do get educated in the state of Washington, they become a teacher and they don't leave and go somewhere else. I think that's the first primary area that we have to concentrate on. I think, too, we have to understand that it's going to get phased in over a 3 or 4 year period of time, and so there is time as we move, once this initiative gets passed, to build up the reservoir of hopefully those individuals that want to become teachers. I think we have an opportunity to work with the 4 year schools to make sure that they are actively recruiting prospective individuals into the teacher rank also. So I think it's multifaceted, with compensation really taking the lead and making sure that the teachers that we have right now that are currently employed, that they do stay also and continue working here in the state of Washington so that we don't have that additional problem down the road.
Yeah, thanks for that question, Denise. It's actually the same question that Gina in Federal Way had, and also Penny in Kent, who's a second grade Title I teacher who had questions about being able to fill those positions, and Barry from Grandview over in Eastern Washington, just down the road or up the road from Kennewick, all had the same question about making sure we can attract folks into the profession. So thank you to everyone who's had a question for Armand or Kim tonight. We're darn close to 7:30, so without taking any further questions, we would like to go ahead and have Armand say a few closing remarks. Armand?
Thank you, Rich. Sure. Well, first of all, just thank everyone who has called in and obviously realizing that we couldn't get everybody's call, but I think it's a start in the right direction. It's our first ever town hall that we've done, and hopefully it's been productive for those that have been on the call itself, and that we've provided you with some pertinent information. But if you do have questions or want to learn more about 1351, please visit our website, www.ourvoicewashingtonea.org. This is our online political action headquarters, and you can pretty much get all your the answers to the questions that you may have at that site. Also, as we wrap up tonight, we'd like to pass along one more opportunity that you can become engaged in if you are so inclined to do so. And in terms of passing 1351, when the call is ended tonight, you have the opportunity to stay on the line and leave a voicemail on our system. And what we're really looking for is for you to be able to tell your own personal story about how your students would benefit if, in fact, you had 4 to 6 fewer students in your class. So if this is something that you would really like to do, we'll put some of these on our recordings online, and we may eventually even turn some of this into a radio ad. So if you want to do this tonight, we encourage you to do so. Please stay on the line and say your first name, your school, and then tell us how your day would improve with a smaller class size. So with that final thought, we're going to end tonight. And again, on behalf of Kim and the WA family, we'd like to thank you very much for participating. Good night.
Good night.